Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures, and once upon a time we had some Byzantine cataphracts on this channel that I fear have yet to be finished painting. Hopefully I can rectify this before this actually goes up. But, to keep them some company, we've got some Byzantine Spearmen today, and hopefully we're going to get these guys done. So you can see here, we've got some guys in armor down there, and I took all the sprues out, so the box is empty at the moment. And it is going to make 25 spearmen of the 9th and 11th century with spears, swords, and 2 different shield options. I think the main thing is these are going to be armored, whereas I actually have some sprues left over from a friend of mine, Mr. Bob the Inquisitor, who hooked me up with these, of the Auxilia. So let me grab them and we'll do a little side-by-side, because while similar, they are not quite the same. So here is the Spearman sprue. You can see here the bodies, typical poses. You know, they got the male tunic, breeches under that, a longer tunic underneath. Similar to some of their other model lines, but not exactly the same. We got the spears for everybody, obviously, since they're spearmen. And a variety of helmeted heads. The 2 different shield options. Some scabbarded blades. And it looks like only 2 swords out per sprue, which, I mean, I guess kind of makes sense since they are supposed to be spearmen after all. Sadly, we do not have the arms with the handles of the shields attached. I like that personally, but at least these look like they're going to be easy enough to plug in. Something I was building recently, they didn't have anything like that, and it was kind of annoying. Now, notice also the puddle bases there, attached to the figure. Let's take a look at the Auxilia, because these are Byzantines as well. And I want you to see a couple things. So first off, I feel like this sprue is really empty, but you get a couple of the same style bodies. I mean, literally, the only difference being no puddles. And then you got a couple of unarmored tunics as well, and a variety of equipment. So you've got 1 sling, which is an odd choice. Why only 1? I don't know. We've got like a shield arm with a spear. We've got bows and arrows, hammers, and a couple of unarmored heads. The armored heads look to be the exact same as the spearmen. Now, these spears are much shorter. I would assume they're more, you know, for throwing. I guess they look kind of the same. A little bit shorter, but not exactly. The sleeves are completely different as well. Those have the kind of fancy fringe, and these have nothing. Small little skirmishing shields, also swords in the scabbard, and I don't think we have any guys equipped with close combat weapons. Interesting. So between these two, I think you can come up with some really interesting things. And then if you have access to all kinds of other bits and pieces of various Dark Age, late Roman, or heck, why not just full-on Roman, some of their Teutonic stuff, I think you can really come up with some interesting figures. But I'm going to try to build these as is for now. We'll get everything put together. We'll see how they turn out. We'll compare them to a couple other various figures, both from Fireforge and whatever else I have laying around. And hopefully, you'll see how it turns out. So stick around. Alright, we got a few of our auxiliaries all put together here, and why don't we take a look at them then? So the first thing, and I don't think I really pointed this out, and if I did, I've already forgotten because it's been a while since I filmed it, but you've got both your armored and unarmored auxiliary guys, and I'm just now noticing I didn't use the right arms. You'll notice that his sleeves don't match, and that seems to be an issue that I keep coming into with Fireforge's stuff. I don't know why that is. I'm also not a fan of his pose. He looks like a halfling with that little bow of his, and he's quite stocky and stodgy. But then if I grab an actual half, I don't know. Maybe if I put him on the same size base. Are you my brother? So anyway, interestingly, these guys all have swords, but there's actually no sword arms with them. So I grabbed another sword arm from another Fireforge kit to make more of a leader type dude ready to slash into the enemy there. So I do like the fact that you have the option for the both male and... Oh, I guess that isn't chainmail. I thought it was male, but okay. Whatever that kind of sleeve is that he's wearing. My eyelash is stuck on the guy. So it basically boils down to, in this kit, you've got spears and bows. And swords just as decorative bits. And I can't help but enjoy the fact that some of these auxiliaries just look woefully under-equipped for going into battle. I didn't even bother giving him a sword. He's just like meat in the grinder here. Oh, and I forgot we've got the guys with the slings. And I'm pretty sure I built it wrong. And I think this hand is supposed to be resting further up on the haft of the weapon, but he's getting ready to smack it around a bit. And again, I don't know. Some of these guys, they just seem really short. Maybe they are poorly fed and suffering from malnutrition, because he really doesn't look much bigger than a halfling. And it's not like Mantic's plastics are all that monstrous in size and strength or anything. I'm grabbing another Fireforge human. I guess they're about the same size. Now, obviously, these guys are on smaller bases, to their credit, but still, I feel like they're a little small. And again, if they're not wearing that armor, they just feel kind of under-equipped for battle. I'm not sure who they're going to be fighting. Maybe some of the Arab infantry? Or the Goths? I don't even know. I'm going to have to look up my Byzantine Empire history, I guess. But I was thinking, if you're not looking at this from a historical perspective, I think this kit would make for some great, just generic towns guards. You know, they're not super heavily armed. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm sounding like Ned Flanders here. They're not heavily armed and armored. I mean, you do have some in heavier armor. And I mean, the heads, if you're not liking them, I mean, they have a nice little fantasy touch, I think. And you do have a couple unarmored heads as well. But, you know, you start mixing and matching parts from other kits, I think there's going to be some fun to be had. Grabbing another Fireforge guy. Now, our Russian friend here is actually on a integrated base, whereas these guys are not. This seems to be a recent thing. Fireforge is moving away from having all their historical kits actually on those integrated bases, which is kind of a surprise, but, you know, it is what it is. Curious to see, because I've already forgotten. I know I looked at their sample photos of their samurai sprues, but I'm not really sure now what they had on there. Well, here we... Okay, let's grab the right models here. Actually, they might make decent late Romans, too. I mean, you know, technically. There's what they are, but... I don't remember whose that is. I know this is a warlord. This is a... I want to say it might be a Victrix. Old Victrix kit. How about if we look at... I know Victrix does have some late Romans nowadays. I guess the pattern of the chainmail is going to be a little bit different using the late Roman here from War Games Atlantic in comparison. Where did his shield go is what I'd like to know. I'm sure he had one at one point in his hand. Do we have any other models? The Mantic Human. Frostgrave Human. How about we get a Frostgrave Human on a Frostgrave sized base? For comparison's sake. They might be fun to have a little bit of cross compatibility. That's what I'm going to have to look into, I think. It looks like another Russian. Where's my Victrix stuff? I usually have a Victrix Viking hanging around, but I don't know. Actually, that might be an interesting, generic, basic Viking body. If you wanted it, like the Bodhi, I think? Or am I thinking of, like, some of the Saxon stuff? Those are the churls, I think. I don't know. I'm getting mixed up with my historical wargaming kit names. But I think there's a pretty solid kit here. I do miss the fact that there are no real close quarters weapons in their hands. It's basically just the spears and the bows, like I said, with the occasional sling. And you do have these fun little warhammers you can hang on their belts, or I guess really clip them off if you wanted to go to town and have them hammering away. But it's not a bad little kit. And again, if you're looking for like some nice, fairly, I want to say not generic, but universally appealable models, this might be a fun one to go towards if you're looking for something along those lines. But obviously, if you're looking to fill that specific niche with, Byzantine models, well, obviously, Fireforge is your go-to in that regard. And if you haven't had a chance to take a look through their catalog, we have a link down below where you can peruse it at your leisure. So, with that said then, this has been High Lord Tamerlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here soon. Bye-bye!